welcome to another video of Math with Dr. Diffins. In today's video, we are going to learn about fractions. We're going to learn about fractions today, okay? And our learning target, get our little bullseye here. Our learning target is going to be that we're going to understand, I think we're going to understand numerators and denominators. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and start with what is a fraction, because I think that's important. A fraction represents so a fraction is a number, right? But it represents the parts of a whole. It represents the parts of a whole. So looking at this number here, if I were to say the number 3, right, that would be 3 whole numbers. That's going to be 3 wholes. So if I were to do a visual of it, using these flats, let's say, of squares, I would say this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, right? Now, when we look at a fraction, that's where we would take a number. Let's say we have the fraction of 1/2. Let's say we have the fraction 1/2 here. I know it's kind of big, but just a fraction 1/2. What that means is that I'm going to take, let's take something here, okay? This here is a fraction. And while we're at it, let's look at some of these vocabulary words, because right here it says numerator. Now the numerator is the number that's being considered, okay? And it's also found here. It's also this top number is the numerator, okay? So right now the number that's being considered is 1. And we'll find out what that means in a minute. Now the denominator shows, it's this bottom number, and it shows the equal number of parts of a whole. So here we know that this was 1 whole, this was 2 wholes, this was 3 wholes. Now when it's a fraction, this is saying that it has 2 equal parts. So this is going to have 2 equal parts, okay? And I'm actually going to change it here so we don't get confused by the size, okay? I'm going to come here and say this is the same. Let's say it was the same size here, right? So this is the equal number of parts. So what this is saying is that whatever shape I have is going to be divided into 2 equal parts. So to make it simple, I'm just going to come down here. So I have 1 equal part here, and then another equal part here. So I have 2 equal parts. Now, my numerator is showing the number that's being considered. So in this case, I want to consider 1 out of the 2. Like this. Okay? So right there is the fraction. There's the fraction 1/2. And this is the visual of it. It's showing 1 out of the 2 shaded in. Okay? And that is really the understanding of fractions. Okay? All right, now I'm going to go ahead and let's do some problems together. And by problems, what I mean is that we're actually going to go ahead and create shapes, and then we're going to do what they call partitioning of shapes or cutting shapes to make them into fractions. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get creative here. All right, I'm going to start with this shape here. Okay. Okay. So here I have a shape. This will be a rectangle. And I know it's not perfect because I don't have my ruler, but how many equal parts do you see there? How many equal parts is that shape cut into? Okay, if you said 4, then you are correct. So the 4 is going to go on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to add up here just to help us. So equal parts. And then for numerators, I'm going to say what's being considered. Okay. So we said 4 equal parts. Now, if I were to shade 1, 2 of those parts, what would my numerator be? Okay. If you said 2, you are correct. If you said 2, you are correct. So this fraction is showing me that 2 parts are being considered out of the total of 4 equal parts that are being shown. So it would be what we call 2/4. Okay. Now we'll come over here. We will come here. Ooh, this is always a tricky. Some of these are tricky to draw. So I just try my best there. There we go. All right, so now let's look at this one. What is the, and I'm going to go ahead and shade it in to get started as well. All right, so what's the total number there? What is the total number of parts? So for this one, we're going to count, and I'm just going to take a little mark here. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how many equal parts is the circle divided into? If you said 8, you are correct. And that's going to be my denominator because it's showing the number of equal parts. Now, how many parts are being considered here? How many parts do you see that are shaded in here? Okay. So here we have 1, 2, 3 equal parts. So it's 3/8. And I know I have these numbers here. Don't let them confuse you. These numbers were only my way of counting the total. So I could have said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 equal parts, 3 shaded in. All right, easy peasy, right? Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and look at another one. Sometimes these can be weird shapes, and that's just fine. Okay. Okay. Now, looking at this one, how many equal parts do I see? If you said 6, you are correct. Now, how many parts do you see being considered? How many parts are being considered? How many parts are shaded here? If you said 5, you are correct. Okay? So, as you can see, these fractions, I know they can seem intimidating, but they're really not. Remember, they're just showing you parts of the whole, right? Parts being considered of the total equal number of parts. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being considered, and that's it. 5, 6 would be our answer. Okay? All right, so now it's time for our practice. Sit tight, and I will be back with some practice problems for us to do. All right, so here we have our practice problems, and we have a total of 5 problems. And here are the directions for the 5. Over here, these first 2, what I want you to do is shade. You're going to shade in, from this shape, you're going to shade in 1/3. Then on this one, you're going to shade in 1/4. Then on this one, on these 3, you're going to name the fraction. So just like we did here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of the 6 were shaded. We said 5, 6. Here you're going to name these fractions. All right, and ready, set, go. All right, let's go through and check our answers, okay? So for this one, you're going to draw it and then shade it, so it should look like this. We should have, for 1/3, we should have 1 of the 3 pieces shaded in. Then we go to this one, 1/4. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, so 1 of the 4 should be shaded in. Now this one, if we counted our pieces correctly, we had a total of 8 equal parts, and only 1 was shaded in. So we should have 1/8. Then on this one, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts, and 1, 2, 3 parts were shaded in. Okay? And then finally, here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts, and 2 of them are shaded in. 1, 2 out of the 6. So 2, 6. Okay? Now, I know this seems pretty simple, and it's because it is. So if you're understanding what to do, then good job, keep it up, because it's going to get a little bit harder from here. But if you feel comfortable with what we just did, then you are pretty set, you're pretty good with understanding numerators and denominators, right? And that's the first step in understanding fractions. All right, as always, we're going to leave you with your exit ticket. And remember, this is your chance to show what you know, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the exit ticket on here because I'm only going to give us 2 problems to work on today for our exit ticket. The first one's going to be, I'm going to do a square here. We're going to divide it into fourths. And then I want you to shade 3/4. So I just did a square, big plus sign or a cross there. And now you're going to shade 3/4. Okay. And then the other piece that you're going to do, the other problem, draw a line here. The other problem that you're going to do is you're going to name this fraction. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right, so you have these for your exit ticket. Remember, it's your chance to show what you know. You can do this, and we will see you next time. As always, this is Dr. Diffins signing off. Bye-bye.